Hi everyone, I'm Colin McEvers, reporting on a story regarding freedom of speech around the Salisbury University area, the community and all that. It was reported by the Bury Post initially, so we're going to get right into it. The key thing to start with is a little bit of national data, a little bit of overlook of that. So according to best colleges, although more than 2/3 of students believe that all people should be able to express personal beliefs, only 44% of college students nationwide feel comfortable freely speaking their minds. Of this, 54% of Democrat students and 39% of Republican students feel comfortable with expressing their opinions. So obviously, you see the discrepancy there, and we're going to get into how that relates to Salisbury University. There's a professor here named Mary DiBartolo, who is the advisor for the college Republicans on campus, and she's a nursing professor as well. She's been a proponent of free speech on campus for quite a while now. So she believes, and she states that there's been ridicule by some faculty in classrooms, some of which in the political science department, which to me should be a place where there's supposed to be discussion about political views, she said. I just find it very discouraging, but at the same time, it seems like an opportunity for us to look at some more concrete ways to keep this free speech initiative going, to really make sure all students, faculty, and staff can freely speak their minds in a civil way. Now, this concern she addressed to the Faculty Senate back in late September because a lot of students were coming to her and a lot of faculty were coming to her saying that they were scared of freely speaking their minds. This is more particularly focused and related to conservative faculty and students who feel uncomfortable speaking their minds in classrooms and publicly and things of that sort that freedom of speech typically protects, because they're scared of getting a bad grade by a professor, and in the faculty case, scared of getting canceled or having some kind of job loss or whatever. So that's kind of plays into this idea of cancel culture on college campuses and how it is playing its role at SU as well. So there is a student named Jacob Hornsby who is a SU junior majoring in political science, and he's one of these students who has experienced this kind of ridicule and kind of marginalization, some would say. So he states, in a class, I had a bad experience where we were talking about political topics. Me and the teacher got into an argument. That kind of made me stay off a bit from talking about my politics, he said. When I'm trying to remember, I think I shut down because I didn't expect that. Obviously, open dialogue is encouraged in classrooms. Disagreements are important in the classroom setting. However, he views the fact and notices the fact that other students who were expressing more left-leaning opinions were being promoted by the professor in this case. So he says the professor basically agreed with them. It seemed to me that the professor was favoring one side over the other. So on September 17th, this was a couple months ago, or about a month ago now, there was a panel led by faculty called a free speech panel, so that faculty members could kind of get up there and address these concerns that are going on throughout the community and offer some advice or offer some kind of SU policy or whatever. I think that was the intention of it. It was hosted by PACE, which is the Political Activism and Community Engagement. This was also Constitution Day. Institutions are required to have some kind of event in which they either distribute Constitution documents, which they typically do, or do some other kind of thing like this panel that they put on. One of the professors on the panel, named Michelle Fletcher, is a political science professor. She was up there on stage to speak on it a little bit. In this case, the moderator asked the question regarding the extent of free speech and whether certain statements are considered to be harmful and whether certain trains of thought should be shut down. And she offers an answer, and she says, that's a very challenging question to answer. Violence, things that incite violence, we understand that thinking about speech is a legal question. Not all speech is protected speech, so we have to start there. So essentially saying that some speech is violent speech and not all speech is protected. There was also another topic that she addressed in regards to students feeling as though they're being silenced in the class. Now, this kind of relates back to what DiBartolo and Jacob Hornsby were speaking of prior in the piece, in the coverage, in which they feel as though faculty members and students are feeling as though they can't speak their minds in the most effective way. She offers a response to this, and she says, oftentimes you're going to get some pushback on some things, but that's part of the process of engaging in an academic community, that exchange of ideas, that dialogue, but that doesn't mean that you're being targeted. That's just part of the process. In regards to students that might be feeling as though they're being silenced in classrooms, the response is that it's just part of the process and that no one is being targeted. At one point in the panel, a student by the name of Luke Hartlip, who is now a editor for the Bury Post. He expresses some concerns about the former school newspaper, about being denied and censored from the school newspaper that's official at SU. He says, "There is a feeling on SU campus by many professors, students, and faculty, and I feel like that was a real manifestation of that feeling." And he refers to the fact that his articles were censored, and he tried publishing it other ways, and it was taken down and censored more so. So he says that's a real manifestation of that feeling of being censored, being denied positions and publications. As the student newspaper for SU and the student media in general, what protections are there in place to make sure things like this don't happen? Things like censorship and certain ideas being fostered and promulgated in the community, and other ones that are not in alignment with the common trend being censored and denied any kind of platform. And they essentially say that media sources have full autonomy over what they publish and do not publish because they are paid through the student activities fee, and that the articles posted on the public boards had likely been removed because they did not go through the proper administrative channels, whatever those are. That is the response from the faculty in regards to censorship and students not being allowed to express themselves on certain platforms, that it is a violation of SU policy, and that it needed to be taken down because it didn't go through the proper channels. And they say that the student media has full autonomy over what they publish, and that they're not paid through the university, though they are paid to the student activities fee. The student activities fee is a charge which all students at Salisbury University have, $65 or so, $63 per semester they have to pay for student organizations like the Flyer, WXSU, Safe Ride, and all the other things that are supposed to provide a service for the community. What Mr. Hartlip was curious about is how censorship and promulgation of certain radical ideas are in alignment with block-funded organizations like the student newspaper being funded through the student activities fee, which the university ensures is charged. And they say that they have full autonomy over it. Following this, Mary DiBartolo actually met with the vice president of Inclusion, Access, and Belonging, and this guy's name is Zebediah Hall. And she stressed the feeling that conservative voices are being silenced on campus, argued that DEI trainings assigned to her department and others are counterproductive in the sense they compel speech, and recommended some sort of vetting process. Hall says that he was not familiar with the content of the trainings necessarily because they don't look through every single one, though he did intend to look through some of them to see if there were any problems or issues. So he did plan to do that at the time of this conversation. He's going to try to find the different people that administer them and what they provide and all that. And DiBartolo and Zebediah actually agreed that they would have further training on freedom of speech, freedom of expression, the First Amendment, because he had gotten some complaints and issues as well on both sides coming into him expressing some concerns. So they're going to try to work together on that. They ended the conversation with Zebediah Hall saying that members of the community like DiBartolo could be used as sounding boards in the process of designing some new training. So that's where the story ends. It's an ongoing piece likely because they'll probably try and work on developing some other trainings and workings to ensure that faculty and students feel as though they can freely express themselves. But that's the story in its essence. Hope you guys all enjoyed, and please subscribe to the Bury Post Media.